G'day guys, my name's Ben, and in this video we're going to talk about the arrow. Okay, so there's lots and lots of different types of arrows around in the market these days, but they all do relatively similar things. Okay, so it's very, very simple, and obviously it's been around for a long time. People have used them for everything from hunting animals, being able to feed themselves, right through to use in war. Okay, so we're going to call this part of the arrow the point. It points towards the target. Now there is many types of different arrowheads out there. That's this whole section here. This is basically a historical arrow, but there are obviously lots of other ones around, and we'll go into that a little bit more as we go into the video. Okay, so you might be able to call this a more of a Chippenham style broadhead. As I say, there's all sorts of different types out there, from target heads through bodkins, through all sorts of different types, and they change as the culture's changed very much. I don't think there's been a single culture in human history that hasn't used some kind of bow and arrow. Okay, so this whole section here is called the shaft. This particular one is made of elm, many different types of wood that you can use for shafts. People can use bamboo. They also use carbon fibre, glass fibre, plastic, and so on and so forth. Aluminium is another example. So they all have different advantages and different disadvantages. I personally prefer to shoot wood. I'm a historical archer, and that's what I do, and that's what I love. I shoot almost every single day, and I really enjoy it. I do teach archery as well. I'm a qualified instructor, and so during those lessons I typically will use glass or carbon fibre shaft arrows, and the reason for that is just simply something that people tend to understand and identify with more, thanks to popular culture and movies and that kind of stuff. It's also easier for some people, and that's just how that is. Okay, moving on. Rightio, with this whole section here, this is called the fletching. Rightio. In this particular arrow we're using turkey fletching, and that's held on by both glue and string. This is a really well made arrow. I enjoy shooting these. You can also find fletching these days is made with plastic and so on, and that's not, personally I find it as enjoyable to shoot with, but there we go. Alrighty, now you'll notice as you twist the arrow around that some of the fletching is slightly different. So we have this last section here is called the knock, and that's where you knock the arrow onto the string of the bow. More of that as we go into technique. And when you knock the arrow, you'll find these two fletchings are going to be closest to the bow. As the arrow is fired, for want of a better word, towards the target, the two fletchings will pass along the side of the bow and not get damaged. This is called the index fletching, and it's different because it points upwards. Okay, so if my bow is flat here and I place my arrow on top, knock, and then slightly draw back, this fletching will be on top and pointing upwards, so that I know the other two fletching are against the bow. In many cases you'll find the index fletching is a different colour than the other two for that very specific reason, so that you know you've got your arrow knocked correctly, and therefore you're going to be able to shoot properly. The disadvantage obviously is if the index fletching is against the bow, which can happen obviously, then as that passes against the bow it's going to wear quicker, and therefore after a short time you'll find your arrow doesn't actually shoot as well or as accurately, and that's a bit of a shame. Okay guys, so this has simply been the parts of the arrow, and obviously that's very important to understand, so that when we're using our archery techniques we can get a better result. Okay, alright, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe and share, and I'll catch you in my next video.